Okay, can everyone hear me? Yes? Thumbs up. Awesome. Great. Thank you, first of all, everyone for coming here. Really appreciate you taking your time out of your schedule to come to my talk. Taking Flight with Dashboard Scoring, Our Journey to Build Better Dashboards. I'm Steve. I am a manager of the Data Science Center of Excellence at NetJets. It's a team within our broader analytics organization. I have over 9 years of analytics and BI experience, and I'm a Tableau user since 2017. I'll give you a short, quick story of my first Tableau viz and how it kind of really solidified my love of Tableau and how powerful it can be. My first Tableau viz was back in August of 2017 when Hurricane Harvey was going up the Texas coast. We needed a way to identify what crew members were going to be impacted by that storm so we could make sure that they were able to get home or stay home and be with their family and protect their property. That was data that would normally take a lot of different data sources that our safety teams had to aggregate together and took a lot of time. I was able to pull it all together in Tableau, give them a map, give them the ability to just highlight the impacted areas, and they were able to get all the contact information, schedule information super quick, and get their contact sheets in like a minute, which saved a lot of time. And that dashboard has been used in a lot of other natural disasters so we can identify impacted crew members. And it's been really solidified, you know, why Tableau and analytics can be important, because we can get our crew members home and with their family when they need to be home during disasters like this. So, like I said, I manage the data science COE. This is part of our broader analytics organization that includes a data governance team and several analysis teams focused on different core areas of our business. Our platform team that actually manages our Tableau server is separate within our IT organization, but we work very closely with them. I'm talking to them every single day about different issues and different things that our analysts are experiencing so that we can make everything better for them. So our mission in the COE is to advance NetJets' core analytical capabilities through exploration and implementation and support of new tools, technologies, and techniques that enable NetJets analysts to generate better insights. That's wordy, but the point is, Tableau is one of those technologies. We have other technologies as well that we use. So we're really supporting the broader scope of analytics. So just by a show of hands, who's heard of NetJets before? Okay, I see some of them. Many of you maybe through golf. We sponsor a lot of golfers, and you see our logo on their shirts and hats. But a lot of people don't know who we are. And just to give you some context about who we are and what we're doing, we are the world's largest private aviation operator, private jet operator. So we have a fleet of approximately 750 aircraft worldwide. These range from very small 6-seater Cessna and Embraer Phenom jets to large Bombardier Globals and many different planes in between. That actually puts us on the scale fleet-wise of Southwest Airlines. So we're pretty big. We also fly to 2 times the destinations of our top carriers in the US and Europe. Here's a little chart that shows all the different destinations that the combined NetJets and those commercial carriers fly to. The blue ones are the ones that only NetJets flies to. The green ones are ones that both the commercials and we fly to, and the red ones are ones that only commercial fly to. You can see definitely a lot of flights, destinations in US and mainland Europe, but we're really a global company, and we'll fly you wherever you want to go as long as it's safe. And we've got a zoom in of the US, and there's Europe as well. On a daily basis, we average over 900 unique routes around the world, and yearly we're running excess of 95,000 unique routes, far more than commercial carriers. And like any business, we have data that spans many different topics and connects in lots and lots and lots of different ways. And Tableau has been critical in being able to bring that data together, bring our maintenance data and our customer data and our training data together, for example, and get that information out into our in front of our business partners. So how do we support Tableau? First thing is training. Training can take a lot of different forms. One-on-one trainings, group trainings. We have a user group that meets monthly. And we do a lot of other just different activities. Whatever kind of training works, we'll try to do it because we want to get people trained. Second is process management. Like I said, our IT group manages the actual server. And we have a dev, QA, prod split on our servers. So we help manage the processes to get content moved automatically from dev to QA to prod, very simply for our analysts. And we're working very closely with IT to make those processes work smoothly and seamlessly and consistent across the board. We also support various different quality programs. Dashboard scoring, that's our big quality program, so we're going to talk about that a little bit more and what that means to us. But we also do stuff like looking at how do we clean up all the kind of excess content that's out there. You know, when we have a dashboard for the Super Bowl, that dashboard isn't really valuable a week later. You know, so let's make sure we get it cleaned up if we can. Let's identify those dashboards that aren't being used anymore because the data isn't relevant and get it off the site. Let's identify dashboards that maybe haven't been updated recently, where the data sources aren't refreshed and the data is stale. Let's address those with those dashboard owners, that kind of stuff. And of course, we do some dashboard development as well. The team is relatively small, and a bulk of our Tableau authors are within the business. So we do a little bit, but we definitely don't do nearly all the dashboard development. We are just kind of other dashboard like other users in that aspect. So why did we decide to create this scoring program? Well, the first is to encourage best practices. And we all know a nice looking dashboard is good, but there's a lot more work that goes into building that dashboard behind the scenes that the end users don't see. And we want to make sure that all those processes follow best practices so that when the user goes to look at the dashboard, the data is there, the data is relevant, it's refreshed, and there's no problems on it. Problems with the dashboard, right? So we've developed some of those best practices for NetJets and what that means to us. Secondly, it's an opportunity for training. I just said, you know, one of our goals as the COE is to provide training opportunities. Well, these dashboard scoring sessions are one-on-one training opportunities where we can help analysts find new ways of doing things and talk to them right in person, which is really great. And we're building trust in the content on our site. Because we want our users to know that when they go there, they can trust the content, right? You know, and maybe that's not always the case. So we want to give the users the information so that they can understand if the dashboard is trustworthy, governed, those type of things. Now, those three kind of goals may actually sound somewhat familiar to everyone if you've seen Tableau Blueprint, because they happen to all be up here on the Tableau Blueprint. Now, we started this program about 1.5 years ago, and when they launched Tableau Blueprint this summer, I looked at it, I was like, hey, we're already doing some of that. So it really validated some of the work we were doing. Because, of course, you've got the analytics best practices, the education, and, of course, trusted and governed. Those were the three things we just talked about. So what's the process? How does this all work? The first thing we're doing is we're identifying dashboards. Now, we're not trying to boil the ocean and do all the dashboards at once. We're taking it piecemeal. And we do this through looking at what are the most used dashboards out there and just working down that list. We're looking at new dashboards that are published. We're very tied in with the community of developers. So if we hear about a big dashboard project that's being developed, we'll work with them one-on-one to make sure it gets scored. And then once we identify those dashboards, we're going to send them. We have a checklist that they can that the developer goes through. We schedule a scoring session, which are only half-hour to an hour long. They start off a little bit longer, but then as we found, as the analysts get used to it, they get a lot faster. They know what to expect. We score the dashboard, we suggest changes which are made, and then we have a metadata file that just feeds in as another data source into our Tableau site. And so coming out of a dashboard scoring session, there are 4 things that we have. We have a final score. This is a score out of 6. We have a security classification. Safety and data security is very, very, very important at NetJets. I cannot emphasize that enough. So that is a very key part of the score that is pulled out separate from the actual score. We have an expiration date because we know things change. The data change, the business processes change, new products come out that may affect that dashboard that you may not be accounting for. So we have an expiration date to go make sure that we re-review it. And finally, we have what's called the badge of excellence, which is a little symbol that can go on the dashboard and in other areas that says, hey, this dashboard is really good, scores highly in several key areas of our rubric. And that's how we get to the scores. We have a rubric, and we'll go through all the different components of that rubric. It's pretty detailed. And so I've said safety is very important to us, but what comes after safety for NetJets, because we are a high-touch luxury brand, is service. This is another mantra at NetJets. The service is everyone's job. I may not be on the front lines talking to our customers every day as they board the plane and take their flights. Our pilots and our flight attendants are. I may not be taking the phone calls as they book their flights. Our owner services agents are. But the dashboards I build, the dashboards our Tableau analysts build, inform those people. They inform the crew management teams. They inform owner services. They inform everyone who is working with our customers. And so we are part of that service. If we can provide high-quality dashboards to our business partners, they can provide a better level of service to our customers. So service is everyone's job. So what does this have to do? Well, this is what we based our rubric off of. We call it serve, only with an I. And if anybody can give me a word that starts with an E, when we get to this, I would love to hear it because I've been racking my brains for a long time. We went with I instead for serve. And so that stands for safety. Of course, like I said, safety's first. Second is integrity. Looking at reliability, visuals, and experience. So that's the overview. But let's actually dive in to what all of these different components are. So for safety, we've got our data classification. This is a very important part of the safety rubric. NetJets has a 4-tier classification system of public, internal, confidential, restricted. If your company has something different, maybe has something different there. This contributes to badge of excellence. You have to score highly on that one. InfoSec and legal review to make sure we're treating data appropriately. And we're not exposing, say, PII to customers or to business partners who don't have access to that PII. Looking at row-level security, so we're working with the dashboard developers to assess if they need row-level security and if they have it implemented, and if they have it implemented properly, so that users can't get around it and download the data and still see the data they're not supposed to get to. And also appropriate project and AD groups. Now we have on the scale of more open environment with everybody has lots of access to more restricted, where people have very specific access to specific projects. We're definitely on that specific project end. So we're making sure that the projects are being stored in those appropriate project folders with associated AD groups that are managed properly. For integrity, so we said safety comes first, but we say integrity counts twice as much. So I said this is a 6-point scale with only 5 components, but you get double points on the integrity. So we're looking at documentation. This is something where we just really want people to write down what they're doing. Write down where they're getting their data from, write down definitions. I am just really looking just to get stuff written down. But we're also building out a business glossary, and we want to make sure that that documentation is consistent with our business definitions. We're looking to see if it's been validated. So we may be converting a report that was sent out by PDF every week through a different BI system, and now we're replacing it with a live dashboard. Has somebody actually gone through and validated that the data is accurate, that it matches? We're looking at data source quality, so we really don't like data sources that are Excel files that are manually being typed in for that data. That's kind of on the low quality end. We'd much prefer people to be using our enterprise data sources where available, and that's a range in between as well. There's a lot of different spots in between where that can be. So it's a sliding scale. And then we're looking at the lineage of the raw inputs. Do we have that documented of where we're actually pulling everything from? We're looking at the ETL jobs. Are those documented? So getting the data from our data sources into, from our true data sources and then into Tableau. We don't use Tableau prep yet. We use other tools to do that ETL and a lot of the blending there for that. And then any other dependencies. A lot of times some of these ETL jobs and dashboards will maybe spit out multiple outputs and only one of them is really the Tableau dashboard. So we need to know that if we try to shut something down, that we may be impacting something else as well. And then we're looking at reliability. So ETL, scheduling best practices, again, since we're not using prep, we're using some other tools. We want to make sure that those are implemented in the ways that we've decided are the best ways, that they're monitored, they produce logs that we can analyze. They're all set up according to standards so that we can make sure everything runs smoothly. Also, a job review of the ETL job itself. We found that there are some very convoluted ways to go about getting your data, and we want to make sure those are efficient so that when the jobs run, they run reliably, they run on time, they don't get bogged down. And we have some extra analytics kind of stuff that we actually do on the ETL jobs themselves. We also want to make sure that refresh times are visible so that users know when they go in that the data is fresh. We use a lot of extracts instead of live data connections mainly. So we want to make sure that the user can see, okay, yeah, this was refreshed this morning at 7:30, or it was refreshed 3 months ago, and maybe I shouldn't be trusting it right now, right? Because something broke along the way, and the data is not getting there. We're looking at the Tableau refresh reliability. So this is when the extract refreshes, is it able to consistently and reliably grab that data? And then is the ETL job running consistently and not failing because it locks out if somebody has an Excel file open and then it fails every third day because somebody has the Excel file open at the wrong time, right? And finally, we're looking at visuals. We have a corporate template. It's very simple, and we'll see a screenshot of it in a little bit. So we want people on that template because it enables a lot of the scoring program. We're also looking at just general design principles. Are they using charts appropriately? Are they using colors appropriately? Those type of things. And then clarity. Is it easy to understand? This is actually a really great one because a lot of times when we're scoring, we're new customers. We haven't seen the dashboard before or have only had a very little time. So if something's really unclear to us, it's a good feedback for the analyst to say, hey, maybe we should reword something, put some help or descriptive text around here to make things a little clearer. And that way you'll be more successful when they go to the final customer. And then on experience, interactivity. Are those interactive components exposed? Do they? Is it clear that you can actually click on something to filter it, or do something like that? We ask for a business purpose in the documentation, so we're looking at does it make sense that it's matching the business purpose? We don't have a big mobile deployment, but if it does need a mobile deployment, do they have a specific mobile version of the dashboard that they can use? Does it load quickly enough? So we're looking at, of course, if a dashboard takes 5 minutes to load because the data sources aren't very efficient, users aren't going to use it. So we're looking at load times. And then user satisfaction. This is really qualitative, asking them how it's been received. But we also have a feature on the dashboard that users can email both the author of the dashboard and the COE at the same time. So if they have feedback, we can usually see that feedback. So it's been working for us, but we might like, why does this work? Because one thing is it's completely voluntary. Users don't have to get their dashboard scored. We do not want to be an impediment to getting data out in front of our business partners. We want people using Tableau. We don't want to feel like a hurdle. So it's voluntary. Honestly, it's been well received. We've had maybe 1 or 2 users who have just said, I don't have time for this. I don't want any part of it. And we can score the dashboards without them there. Probably not going to score great if we don't have all that documentation, all that feedback. But generally, it has been well received by the analysts. Second, the scoring process is open and transparent, and this is where we score, literally, out in the open. We've got, in our analytics area, we've got a big 4 TV and big couch. We throw the dashboard up on one, the documentation up on the other, and the scoring rubric up on a third, and we don't use the 4th one. And what you can't see in this picture is right behind the couch here are about 24 analysts in our analytics department in their desks who can see this going on and know that we're doing it, and we're out there. Of course, if somebody had a restricted dashboard with very confidential data, we could take this internal, but that's generally not too much of the case. And we expose the scores to users. We don't hide this stuff away at all. So we do that in 2 ways. We have a custom landing page, again, because I said we had the dev, QA, and prod, and we have some other needs as well. We've built our own custom Tableau landing page. But this is a screenshot of one part of it, and you can see on the side, they've got the scores and the badges of excellence where it is, and other ones which aren't. So the idea here is when an executive is going to search for a dashboard and they search for on-time performance, maybe a key metric for aviation companies, and they see 2 different dashboards that come back in the search, and one is scored and has a 5.8 and a badge of excellence, and the other is either unscored or scores really low. We want them clicking on that one that scores higher. It helps them make a decision about which dashboard to look at first, right? So not only is it displayed on the landing page, it's also displayed on our template. And like I said, our template is very simple. It's just a header bar. That's all we ask our analysts to put in. We've got a project that anytime they start a Tableau project, they just start from our template. It's all pre-built. They put in a couple IDs, and they've got the link to the landing page and the author email and all the other buttons over on the left. We got a dedicated spot for those refresh times, which was one of the items in our scoring rubric. We've got a place for help and just information. But then on the right-hand side, we've got that badge of excellence that shows up if they get the badge of excellence. And they've got the score, that safety classification, I remember I said came out separately. And it's got the expiration date. Those four components all get shown up there. And all they need to do, we give them an ID that they put into their dashboard, and it links right to our metadata file, and they're good to go. So, just really quickly, the future of this program. We're taking it kind of 1 week at a time, scoring more dashboards, but we're trying to find ways to score things faster and more efficiently. We're starting to put kind of analytics on our ETL jobs. We actually have a Tableau dashboard that we can now bring up during our scoring sessions and see the run times of all the different steps in our ETL jobs. We can see reliability of those scheduled things and those scheduled components, and hopefully we'll be able to completely automate those steps to give an automated score and provide instant feedback without us having to go pull that kind of data together. And and then finally, very end, just a few, like what are my 3 major takeaways here? First, identify what makes a good dashboard for your company. What makes a good dashboard for NetJets may not make a good dashboard for you. You guys may be using prep, and your ETL stuff is all nice and smooth, and it works wonderfully. And you don't need all this other stuff around the ETL jobs. data security, or you may have a more wide open environment where the safety and data security and making sure all those AD groups are set up correctly and projects are in the right place, so only the right people can get at them. Maybe that's not as important to you because you just have a more open set of data and analysts. And but figure out what works for you. Start small. You know, you may already have hundreds, thousands of dashboards out there. Don't let that deter you. Just say we're going to do it one dashboard a week. You know, hit those top 10 dashboards. Say, I want the top dashboard from each line of business. And I'm going to score those top dashboards. Start there. Start small. And then just give it a go. Try it. See if it works. Don't worry about not having all the components like being able to display the scores to all your users right away. Right? These sessions have been valuable just by having the scoring sessions for us. You know, we see that analysts who come back and get multiple dashboards scored get better. They get higher scores as they come back and have more dashboards scored because they're having that training opportunity. They're getting those best practices reinforced. So even if we never displayed the scores, I'd still be a proponent of this. Although I do think displaying the scores is a really good thing to do. And so that's it. I hope you guys learned something from here. Hope you are able to take something away. Maybe go implement a dashboard scoring program of your own. I'm not sure we have much time for Q&A, but I think I can take like one or two.